咁咧，首先就向呢度各位我 subscribe 同支持者咧，就講聲對唔住先。上星期二嗰時咧，就講漏咗啲嘢喺劉世良嗰單 live 嗰度，咁我就先向你講對唔住先啦嚇，即係抱歉啦嚇。咁今日咧就講翻星期二所講漏嘅嘢。第一，劉世良嘅公關災難，我相信呢幾日都睇到劉世良唔好話呢幾日啦，呢個幾禮拜佢呢單嘢嘅事件引發嘅公關災難咧，就初咧就話人哋陳橋家人話陳橋家人貪錢啊，又話佢即係終於話陳橋家人屋企人貪錢啦，又叫啲 fans 叫佢啲支持者 fans 乜都好啦嚇，就去個消息檔案嗰度洗版，就做攻擊，跟住咧徐少華咧就反擊佢啦，就揭露佢嘅為人真正嘅真面目啦。咁就當然啦，就跟住講咗就話廿幾歲人，你今日先帶得出嚟行啊？咁嗰隻咁咧，當然亦都引起咁多還擊啦。跟住佢即係城寨嗰個 account 咧，揭穿咗個 Kenny Boy 咧係講呢味嘢嘅，講埋晒呢啲咩60幾歲人出嚟行，唔係，即係佢講嗰啲即係點講咧？即係佢話叫人哋去攻擊人，叫啲 fans 去攻擊人啊，又成啦嚇。咁當然啦，而家件事惡化到點咧？大家睇下嗱，而家惡化到咧唔淨止，哇！屌你老母，幫個老人出書真金白銀10幾個，仲要落手落腳，風險高。阿衰識你陳橋咩？而家反而惡人告狀，等人死咗先打份不知所。我係聲明出嚟，仲有人信，仲話人哋偷 USB， 跟住又話你死老大晒，又話打電話屋企騷擾人又成，唔係啦咁多支持老嘢嘅，人人放一皮啊嗰啲咁嘅嘢，你睇到晒啦，大家各位。嗱，呢啲絕對唔係 professional 嘅公關所謂嘅。其實你開始錯晒啦。其實應該第二次咧，唔好話我唔教你，話我唔提，即係點講？應該教啊，定係好心提示你劉世良可以改善啲公關技巧咧？你可以講話，我知錯，第二次嗰時出嚟嘅應該話我知錯，我知錯咗啦。我咁講法係好過分，我其他啲 fans 好過分。咁咧，我而家就決定咧，就交俾我律師處理呢單嘢咧。我會等到法庭判決，我先出嚟講嘢。我一切嘅嘢會交俾個律師。我直至到法庭判決嗰日，我都唔會為呢件事作出評論，咪搞掂咯。我相信佢都會呢個，我相信我都勉強接受。但係你冇用呢個措施，你冇用呢個講法，咁你睇到啦嚇。當然啦，呢啲絕對係佢嗰啲屎片 doctor 嘅所謂技巧啦嚇。咁嗱，我今日咧就會作一個預告，即係希望我錯啦嚇，我都希望估錯啦。劉世良日後咧短咧就幾日或者幾個禮拜啦。或者長遠啲或者幾個月之後咧，佢會將個責任，即係好似當年唐英年同梁振英咁樣，將佢僭建嘅過失咧推晒俾佢太太。劉世良日後都可能會咁樣做嘅，就係將呢幾個禮拜嘅過失全部推晒俾太太，包括嗰本書盜版書在內，話係佢太太嘅主張嚟嘅，唔關我事嘅，係佢逼我咁樣做嘅。或者佢嗰啲咁嘅洗版行為啊，嗰啲咩 Candy Boy 嗰啲咁嘅粗俗嘅嗰啲咁嘅接近黑社會爛仔嗰啲咁嘅留言方式咧，係推晒佢太太鄺榮書身上，而佢太太亦都樂於出嚟去講呢樣嘢嘅。我樂於或者被逼都好，佢亦都會出嚟講呢樣嘢。我希望唔會發生呢啲嘢，但係亦都唔可以排除佢用呢個方法，佢哋兩個會用呢個方法。我希望我錯啦嚇。OK， 咁劉世良事件咧，亦都反映出兩個人咧，呢兩個人咧平時對立咧，呢個人就係陶傑同燒若元。咁咧，大家都知道陶傑同燒若元不嬲唔妥噶啦嚇，即係10年前嗰時已經為即係歐洲難民事件就已經對立立場，又話陶傑又話要歡迎 30多個議員話要30多個語言去30將陶傑嘅言論翻譯成30多個國嘅語言去寄晒去嗰啲中東國家係咩啦嚇？等陶傑有事啦嚇，亦都好多呢啲嘅，亦都有其嗰啲我唔知啦嚇。嗱，其實呢兩個人咧，去到關鍵關頭咧係絕對一夥嘅。而家我俾大家睇下啲嘢。嗱，呢個就係陶傑2021年5月嘅時候，佢撐呢個疫苗嗰啲咁嘅冇費嘅嗰支實驗金十，即係冇晒實驗針嘅推出。仲有後尾呢段嗰度都話過，佢話但願人人有疫苗護照。咁呢段文當然俾人鬧到飛起啦嚇，俾人鬧到飛起啦嚇。咁但係蕭若元都好多喎。嗱，蕭若元都有撐疫苗㗎，大家我相信仲記得咗，佢2021年9月佢話過，將所有唔打呢支實驗疫苗嘅人全部送去荒島度等佢自生自滅，同埋佢話唔打針嘅人中招係比打針人高。大家睇到今日嘅後果啦，嗰支 A 字頭嗰支疫苗已經下架啦，中國嘅疫苗之父大家心知肚明啦。嗱，呢個就係第一。呢兩個人平時成日喺度互相意見互肥咧，但係去到呢關鍵位咧就聯合埋一齊嘅，喺疫苗立場都係啦。但係咧，雖然陶傑另一樣嘢就係陶傑雖然同佢好多立場上唔同，包括例如19歲的我啦，陶傑同阿蕭若元喺呢件事上面又係一樣打對台嘅。你睇陶傑咧就撐個導演，而家就 show 俾你睇。佢撐呢個導演，指責任不在於導演張婉婷。佢反駁嗰班受害嘅女仔就話，就怪你父母簽同意書。咁佢呢啲又係同蕭若元而家今日講嘅有關於陳橋嗰單嘢嘅乜嘢嘅即係立場一樣 ，Blame the victim， 徹頭徹尾，絕對係徹頭徹尾 blame the victim 嘅。但係阿蕭若元咧當日咧就當然唔同立場啦，就喺度頭先我唔記得講嘅，陶傑嗰日同阿鄧兆華一齊去撐呢個導演嘅，而蕭若元咧，我要 show 俾你睇，佢嗰日給19歲的我嘅咩立場咧？睇唔睇到啊？金像獎頒俾19歲的我。令我非常憤怒，金像獎班人點樣小圈子互相維護，罔顧成年人權益。張婉婷畢生成就就俾呢部片完全抹去，咩藝術千秋根本乜。張婉婷19歲的我受萬眾圍攻唾罵，我以專業角度事件給大家聽。大家睇到啦，呢兩個人平時喺呢好多事上面唔同嘅，但係咧今日咧蕭若元唔係前日定今日佢同蕭若元居然走去同鄧兆華一齊為劉世良喺度站台，而陶傑亦都係撐劉世良嘅。而家 show 俾你睇就係陶傑巴別塔即係肥塔啦，俗稱佢點樣講呢件事嘅 ，OK？佢點樣爆呢兩個人嘅一齊？呢兩個人係點樣？平時 扯貓尾，但係關鍵時候就喺度站在一齊嘅。嗱，蕭生劉世良只係程序上犯錯，同埋佢做人唔夠圓滑，道個歉就冇事。陶傑而家劉世良受不成比例攻擊，所以按披場宣判劉世良夫婦無罪。嗱，大家睇到蕭若元同陶傑平時立場上好多嘢立場上唔同，但係去到呢啲位咧就聯合起嚟維護佢哋利益。咁即係換句話講咧，陶傑同蕭若元咧係真係 not so obvious exception 嘅絕佳例子。即係表面上平時話咩好公幫香港人出聲有咩有成，但係去到呢啲位咧就即刻喺度維護佢哋利益。而其餘嗰幾個咧，我亦都唔記得 show 俾你睇，包括阿鮑偉聰啦，唔係沈旭輝啊。如果呢條電子台今日衝咁多是非，你仲願意留喺度？鮑偉聰一樣咁衰，同陶傑一樣，俾人咩嗰啲，應該自己反省下，自己點解俾唔怪責你你嗰個人，又係同陶傑一樣，當日點樣話嗰19歲嗰班個導演嘅受害人，給19歲嗰個導演嘅受害人一樣 ，blame the victim， 賴罪於嗰班學生同埋嗰班拍個演員，而唔去鬧嗰個導演點樣欺壓佢哋，點樣去佢哋，一樣跟陶傑嘅真係，馮智政呢個唔使講啦，比而家發生 AI 穿特朗普嘅選呢啲大新聞，香港就關注劉世良。係啊，我哋要關注 AI 嘅嘢，我哋關注特朗普咩事啊？但係唔代表你唔講噶嘛，又係同陶傑一樣做節目嘅嘴臉。呢個黃世陳唔使講啦，佢當初話陳橋監守自盜，劉世良應該報警，陳橋係監察貪得無厭。而家黃世七經過群眾壓力之後，即刻唔講，甚至拋棄劉世良，呢啲就係無情無義，見風轉舵，好無情無義啊！黃世澤你呢個人，嗱，大家睇到頭先我講過啦，陶傑同蕭若元呢啲人喺關鍵呢啲咁嘅關鍵位度咧，就出賣晒佢哋自己，喺度夾埋維護自己利益。可想而知咧，喺我眼中已經判咗呢兩人死刑啦，包括鮑偉聰、沈旭輝、馮智政、黃世澤，我不嬲唔睇佢嘅，所以唔使諗啦。嗱，咁咧，其實而家去到咁嘅地步咧，就亦都有唔少人當然話牽涉刑事啦，岸伯啦、李慧玲啦，仲有個香港一個 X 嘅 ICAC 嘅執行處個主任啦，已經寫咗落晒好，即係呢啲即係點講啊？即係寫咗一個 proposal， 就話要向 ICAC 報案。不過佢唔記得講佢另一個部門就係香港3萬人部隊嘅商業罪案調查科，因為牽涉欺詐咧，商業罪案調查科係有權調查嘅，所以亦都要去 CCB 香港嘅商業罪案調查科去報案嘅。嗱，呢兩個部門決定查唔查劉世良，就佢哋決定啦吓。就算佢哋唔決定唔查咧，你加拿大門稅嗰啲嘢咧，劉世良你都有排你煩啦，可能牽涉你啲課金，可能牽涉逃稅噶。咁咧，另外咧，我就會講關於呢個 Ricardo Bossi 所近日個嘢嚟嘅。即係有啲曾經同佢一齊共事嘅人咧，就爆佢嘅一啲事出嚟嘅詳細版本。OK， 而家我就播俾你聽，佢喺呢件即係呢個話咧，呢件上面同陶傑同埋劉世良咧，亦都有咩相處之處。而家就播呢片俾你睇。
Well, I didn't. That's the thing, Beck. There was nothing out of the ordinary as such. I knew that there were people people stepping aside, particularly in the last couple of months, some very genuinely good, hard-working people in the A1 movement who, sort of were almost, couldn't carry on. And so I never really questioned it because at that time, for me personally, it's about crossing your T's and dotting your I's. If you're gonna dispel information, whatever, you've got to know exactly what's going on, right? So, but I started to actually that sort of pondered on me a little bit as to, okay, we've got these great people, so why are they stepping aside? What's been the common denominator here? What's changed? So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, and that's, hold on. I'm just going to add as well. That's how most people have gone about this. Like, people are saying, "Oh, have you had proof? Have you vetted the information?" Well, that's why it's coming out now, and not like, look, I spoke to you for the first time. I think it was 4 days ago now. I think roughly. We could have jumped online then. But the fact of the matter is we wanted to speak to everyone else, try and get as much information from anybody else who was being thrown under the bus, and that's why now we're coming out with it. Alright, so this is what everyone wants. What happened in the last few months to make you decide to speak out about your experiences with the Bossis and A1?
Look, it was pretty plain obvious that Rick and Rihanna were in a bit of strife. And so they obviously needed somewhere to stay. So, like a good Samaritan would do, I rang them up and said, look, you're more than welcome to come here. And, and within that evening, I got a message saying, yeah, we'll come up. And they did, like Rick said tonight, I should say, they had the animals, and all the rest of it. And so we waited for them to come up, and they did. And Dave brought them up, trucked them up with all the gear and all the rest of it. And we set them up in our home, and we did what we did. And for the first couple of weeks, it was fine. But it all comes down to, look, actually a lot happened, but there's no need to bring it up because, I don't sort of really want to go into sort of gossip as such because that's not the reason why I left. Right, there's a little bit more to it as to why I left, and but let's just say things. I started to realise that things aren't what they seem.
Yep. Okay.
Now, A1's been constantly talking about the Constitutional Convention, Law Manual 3 and all that sort of stuff. So when my national leader came living in my home, I naturally thought that this guy would be carrying on those keyboards, working on the Constitutional Convention and so on and so on, And so, but I was kind of sadly mistaken. Those things didn't quite happen. I just, maybe I had this envisage of what, because let's face it, this is the narrative that they spread. And so, yeah, that's basically, what was happening. And then all of a sudden I realized that the thing that sort of did it for me on a deeper level, and I'll make this very, very clear for those. I follow this, Beck.
Yep.
I'm a God and Jesus man, just like Dave, right? And I realised that, it's funny. If someone like Ricardo, you naturally assume that their intel would be coming from the likes of, say, General Flynn, Donald Trump, perhaps maybe even the military. We talk a lot of white hat, black hat scenarios here. So my natural assumption was, this gentleman was heavily hooked up, to these, strong, forces, so to speak. So I just naturally assumed. But the reality is, the intel that actually is coming through is Rhiannon, right? Because she has a capability of manifesting, or basically what most people would call...
Allegedly, that's what she does.
Yeah. Allegedly, yeah, that's right. So, that started to sort of make me feel a little uncomfortable because I thought, well, hang on a minute, that's not what I would naturally assume, that is where the intel is actually coming from. And so I was having these experiences, and it was being veiled to me, that this was happening in my home, and I thought, well, hang on a minute. And I never got the opportunity to question it, but I just realised that, like I said, I take a strong stranglehold to God, and I think that anyone that's doing channeling or what have you is, we all know that doesn't sit right with anyone that follows God and Jesus. And that's not who leads us. I'm led by the Holy Spirit, and anyone that's doing stuff in that channeling form, that opens up portals, that opens up doors for all sorts of, perhaps even demonic nature behavior and all the rest of it. So my sort of alarm bells had rung really, really strongly on that, and it certainly made me feel very, very uncomfortable. And it certainly made my wife feel uncomfortable about it, right? Because my wife, like Rhiannon, also suffers from MS, so she has her own physical issues as well, just like Rhiannon does. And so, but she's completely tuned in to the Lord, and we make no bones about it. And even with the decisions that I make sure that look, I can go off the hook just like anybody else, but I know that whatever footsteps I'm making or where I've been led, is paramount. And so when that was happening, I'll tell you, it was like a dream that I had almost 12 months ago. And I was trying to get away, and basically the Lord revealed to me, who my opposition was, and
好，唔好意思，頭先因為有少少有啲水有啲茶我要斟下，所以我就要暫時停住。咁咧頭先睇到第一個片段咧，就呢個前 A1 嘅嗰個叫做我唔記得咩名啦嚇，佢同阿 Beth Freedom 亦都曾經係 Ricardo Bossi 嘅支持者咧，就話過 Ricardo Bossi 唔係想象中咁勤力，亦都咁即係去學識好多嘢嘅。其實佢根本所攞啲咩白帽啲料咧，係來自即係佢太太自己咩靈感啊啲嘢嚟嘅。咁咧，亦都係好似即係好似劉世良呢啲咁啦，平時即係又偏君子又成啊，但係發覺佢居然係剝削嗰啲又粗口冷舌啊，而家發覺咗啦，好似黑社會口吻咁嗰隻啦嚇。而家就俾你睇第二個片段有關於呢個 Ricardo Bossi 嘅嘢嘅 ，OK？
I'll tell you now, I'll do anything to protect their nature. And there's no need to do that level of assassination on individuals. I'm sure that, in time, certain things will come out. There's no question about that. But, it's not about the nitty-gritty or the smut fest because, that's not going to help the cause. The cause is that, we're talking about, what people would naturally assume it's not there.
Yeah.
It's just not there.
Now,
like I said, all that personal stuff, like I said, in time, I'm sure people will figure it out or find out stuff, you know what I mean? But this is not the place or the time to mention any of that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So we're going to have to go into a bit more detail because people are getting frustrated. It's ridiculous. You say too much and you don't say enough and you're never winning. But anyways, so let's go quickly cover the... Hold on, where am I? Okay, let's go with the Did You Know flyers. Because we're trying to show the character and show what made you step back. So we're going to cover those kind of things. So the Did You Know flyers, as far as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, everyone knows that the Did You Know flyers, which was actually created by Jake, right? I won't go into surnames or anything like that, but most people in the freedom movement know who Jake is, right? Now, Jake created an amazing platform called Did You Know? And for those, Jake was very inspirational for me in moving forward because he encouraged me to do, and we had fun. Jake and I go way back and we've known each other for quite some years now. And anyway, he presented to the A1 group about the Did You Know? And he was pretty excited about it. And so he shared that excitement with the Bossis, you know, to let them know, look, I've created these platforms. And we were all excited to see what happened. And as it turned out, Jake rang me up afterwards after seeing him. And he was pretty distraught. I said, what's happened, mate? And he goes, they've given me an ultimatum. And I said, why? And they said, well, you can only be an SG or you did you know? And I thought, that's crazy. But anyone in the freedom movement, I know, how many people use Jake's flyers these days? With Smart City, you know.
Yep. They're awesome flyers. They're great.
They're absolutely right. So he's created this incredible platform that A1 didn't even support in the first place. And the thing was, he was one of their SGs on the Central Coast from the get-go. He was the group leader on the coast. And he didn't get the support, you know, from A1, which I found that staggering, you know, because particularly in the period that he created that, there wasn't anything like it. Yeah. And now it's just like, I mean, it speaks for itself. I don't even have to glorify it because everybody knows it. And he's done a tremendous job. And not only that, the character assassination that he copped this evening certainly doesn't unwarrant it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when he's ready, I'm sure he'll come out with what he wants to say. But I can tell you now, he's very upset. There's no question about it. But, you know, so say whatever you like. You know, this guy puts everybody else first. And I know that firsthand. And he's not a Jew, should be really upset, you know. So it's not good. Not good at all. But it's funny, you know, it's funny with this, you know, A1 is what I've learned is it's become to a point that we have flash mobs that we do to stop the rot. And we go around the countryside and you know, everyone's putting out the flash them, you know, now in A1, you can't just walk up off the street and say, can I help out and pick up a sign and show, you know, where you stand in the movement or whatever. Yeah. Then you've got to strictly be A1. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, hang on a sec, I thought our movement was inclusive.
Yeah.
You know, not exclusive. And you know, like these days, it seems like there's an exclusivity. Well, when that happens, it almost becomes cult-like.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, this movement is, you know, look, I'm sick of movements. I want unification right now. I'm sick and tired of, you know, sort of this division. It's just sheer nonsense. And I'm learning that as we go along, that the only way forward is that if we all communicate with one another. there's been, we're broken up into a million different shards. And I don't care what you do. If you're common law, you're common law. If you're this, you're that, But, it's just nonsense. Now, as to go back to what I, after discovering, now I didn't come out on a whim and started, calling out, the Bossies. I backtracked, for those who don't know, right? So, all the people that Rick has called a Mason, right? Dom, Craig, and I mean, these are public, right? Craig, Jackie, right? Probably not Jackie, right? But we know, Carl Leopold, Darren Bergworth. Now, I don't know what their status is, right? But all of a sudden, these people are thrown in what they call the Masonic filth.
Yeah.
Right? So does that make Jake part of the Masonic filth? Does that make me part of the Masonic filth?
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you, when I'm not, mate, I can tell you now, there's no way in the world, because I know that it's called a bloodline. Now, if they met my old man Antonio, there's no freaking way that the Masons would have knocked on his door and asked him to join up. So, no, I'm not a Mason. But I'll tell you something, right? Dom, who Rick publicly came out and named. Now, this is the gentleman that helped him out and gave him a house down in Nowra.
Yeah.
He gave him rent-free for up to 5 weeks. His wife cooked the meals. So they came home to a prepared place. Now, this house, because I've actually seen it, it's nestled on 5 acres of land. He had a tenant of 16 years that he had removed so the Bossies could actually move in. He had security cameras hooked up to a TV so that they would be protected and make sure that nothing would actually happen. Now, he also was a security guard for many, many years.
Yep.
Right? There was a moment when apparently the Bossies' registration had actually expired, and guess what? Dom paid the bill and then said, "Hey guys, your drive's ready to go." But it was done purely out of this. It wasn't done from any other reason, right? But the fact is, and then there was tribunal that that can be proven. They came out saying that Dom basically has sent them to a tribunal, but we've just now discovered that it's the other way around.
Yep.
It was Rhiannon Bossi versus the real estate agent. Right? And the other thing was that people don't understand that he also put his name on their electricity bill to make sure that they had power.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? When they started not doing the right thing, why do people get, this is the thing, the mantra is everyone should be a moral person, be a moral man. I mean, that's great, but what? When you stop paying your rent, when you stop paying someone who's actually physically helped you out, because you decide that's just how it is, that doesn't work that way. That doesn't wash.
Yeah.
And that, I'm telling you now, Dom was freaking heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. Craig Cole, he's worked his butt off down in Victoria, and whether you like him or not, this is not about personality. This is about people who genuinely believe in doing what they do.
Yeah.
Right? But again, another character assassination based on the fact that, whatever it was. Oh, hang on, they called it a data breach. I mean, what fucking data breach do we have? I mean, how many people are actually hooked up to A1 these days?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. It seems to me that A1 has the capability of destroying bridges instead of mending them.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely staggering. Jackie George, right? I rang up Jackie. Right, she's housed these people for weeks on end. So they can get away and all that. So she's housed them. She's looked after them. Right? But again, another person who also has big pockets and deep pockets, these are the people that actually took them on their motorhome and drove them up and down the countryside so they can actually have their events. You believe every word I was saying.
So just
I know.
OK， 頭先你聽到啦嚇，嗰個 Frank 個咩啊？等先，阿 Franco 咧，頭先個 Franco 所講咧，佢話 Ricardo Bossi 咧，即係佢話俾 Ricardo， 即係曾經幫過 Ricardo Bossi 啲人咧，佢亦都係即係點講咧？即係亦都係好刻薄咁對待佢幫過啲人嘅。例如佢話，即係幫佢做個保鏢啊，有幫佢做個點講啊？即係俾間屋俾佢住，成5個禮拜係唔使俾租嘅。但係佢居然可以話佢點又唔知咩事啦嚇。結果咧，佢居然公開話邊個啊？阿 Dom 咧就話俾個地產經紀喺度投訴緊，即係話佢有問題。但係到頭有問題嗰個咧係 Ricardo Bossi 嚟嘅，即係俾個地產經紀喺度投訴嗰個，即係 Tribunal 嗰個。咁咧頭先你聽到啦。佢其中一個佢趕走嘅人咧，就係嗰個阿 Jake 咧，就設計咗啲 poster 有關於 Smart City 啊，即係 Did you know.ink 即係個 Telegram page 啦。我遲啲有機會介紹俾大家睇下啦嚇，喺我自己嘅 community page， 即係我個 YouTube 個 community 即係個 post 嗰度 ，OK。咁佢設計啲 poster 係講啲 Smart Cities 啊，即係嗰啲僻同化啲衰嘢嘅。咁咧，但係 Ricardo Bossi 見到之後好唔高興，就話：你做埋呢啲嘢做咩啊？你繼續做 A1 嗰啲嘢啦，咁嗰隻，甚至你吹落去咧，你唔可以即係 stop the work 嗰啲嘢咧，即係第二個即係相關嘅議題方面咧，你係唔準去即係做嗰個議題嗰啲嘢，即係唔準用 A1 身份做呢啲嘢，你堅決要守住 A1， 即係我 share one 呢個身份嘅。就算個議題一樣，你都唔準用 A1 嘅，即係去走去即係人哋個組織嗰度搞相關議題，你只係要守住 A1 呢個組織嘅呢個守則。咁呢個係有啲獨裁嘅，有啲似香港而家嗰啲有部分政黨嘅所謂嘅。咁呢個第3段片啦，咁我俾埋第3段俾你睇啦。第3段啦嚇，我呢度係有成7段片嘅 ，OK。
Ricardo quite frequently, yes.
I've seen people just load up his hand with notes of cash. I've actually done it, Beck. I've done it myself. When I was in Sydney, I loaded his palm with money because I thought he needed it, as most of us do, right? I had an event down at Woi Woi where there was, he sold books and people, created donations and all the rest of it. Actually, there was a gentleman that came all the way from Orange and brought him 2 leg of lambs because these people only eat rice and onions, right? So. And I'll tell you now, I'm sick and tired of people being deceived. We're living in a real awkward time right now where everything is pretty tight. Everything's skyrocketing through the roof. I've seen people just hand. Because you know what? It comes from their heart. This is people do things from the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
It's not for any other reason. When you're helping somebody, it's because you really genuinely want to help them. They don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it.
So, quick question, because I'm actually not sure. Do A1 charge membership fees?
No, well, when I first started, they had their registration. And like I said, this is very early in the piece. And I was very fortunate to be one of the ones. And I used to sort of, take homage to the fact that I was probably the very first paid member. And I think back then it was $100, you know what I mean? But it never went ahead. And even up until this moment in time, it's still not gone ahead. So they have strong criteria in terms of working with children's checks and all that sort of thing. Because hey, we don't want infiltration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So heaven forbid, really. What
so I'm just gonna address the question really quick. Who do you think provided all the food in refrigerated trucks at convoy to Canberra? Not Ricardo.
OK， 而家睇第4段啦。
Basically, I have no doubt that that Rick would have said to Dave that A1 will cover his expenses for putting his name up in the state election in the upper house. and Dave would have racked up a small accumulation of invoices, right?
Yep.
Which is supposed to have gone to A1 to clear, but in the end they were given to Jake, and Jake basically paid it out of his own pocket. So there you go.
Yeah. Alright. So I'm just going through the list of questions. Alright. So also people are asking, what's the Bossi beef with Darren? What happened with Craig Cole? It's not for me to say. However, I have spoken to Craig Cole because I personally have a lot of respect for Craig Cole. I love what he does in the movement. I think he puts his whole heart into it. And I have no reason to doubt anything that he says. He has told me that I'm able to let you guys all know that if it's needed, he's happy to get on and verify his story about what happened within A1 and his experiences. But it's not for me to talk. Darren Bergworth, I've got no problem with Darren either. He's welcome to come on and he's welcome to air his grievances, and that's fine with me. And hey, Rick's welcome to come on too if he wants. Just saying. So we'll get back to the money.
It's interesting with Darren. I mean, he was called a Masonic pig, right? And you know what? Anyone that associates with Darren Bergworth pretty much aligns himself, so everyone's a fucking Mason. Go figure. Everyone is Masonic filled. Cole Lee, actually, I rang up Cole Leopold.
Yep.
And we've heard all the rumours about poor old Carl, you know what I mean, because he's got a new bus and all the rest of it. He must be part of it. But, no one ever considers, well, hang on, maybe, it's all innuendo. It's never factual. It's easy now these days to say, well, oh, look at that. He's got the filth on him. Everyone's got the filth on them.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start really questioning who the filth really is. Or who.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, are you willing to go into some more detail about how you know where the intel comes from? How do you know that she claims to have a spiritual ability? Is there any scenarios that happen that you're happy to share? How do you know this?
I saw it with my own eyes, right? And Rick would come off an event, and he actually said to her said it a few times, right? But she made reference. He goes, so what are the white hats saying, love? And she goes, oh, they're cheering, Rick. Well, okay. And then one day she was at the table and she felt, a little explosion under her feet, and there was another drum being exploded. And then she was sharing with me that, that she has this capability, and Jesus, that God put her here to be the go-between to help souls get to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, wow. You know what I mean? Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I follow.
Yeah.
No portals, no Ouija boards, no other stuff. Just the Holy Spirit and the grace of God. That's it.
Yeah. So let me just go through this again. Sorry, 1 second, guys.
Matter of fact, there's a verse that I'll share. It's in Ephesians 5:11.
嗱，頭先你聽到啦，各位聽到啦嚇，佢 Ricardo Bossi 同劉世良扣人嘅方法係咪好一樣咧？雖然個名個敵人係唔同，劉世良扣佢批評嗰啲人咧係收咗共產黨錢啊，或者總之就算唔係共產黨鼓勵佢哋咁叫佢哋咁樣做，佢都可以話係你受過共產黨好處先至攻擊佢，又話你攻擊佢係共產黨好開心。咁 Ricardo Bossi 嘅手法咧就話個個離開佢嗰啲都係 Masonic filth 啊啲啊，即共濟會嗰啲死產啊，即共濟會嗰啲死人頭啊啲啊，或者之前佢廣州啲人好多都共濟會嗰啲收共濟會收買嗰啲人嚟嘅，即係 Freemason。但係呢幾樣我就唔知有冇共濟會背景啦。但係你咁樣做同劉世良呢種方法 啲防佢 fans 方法有乜分別先？冇㗎。同埋頭先聽到啦，佢有佢其中一個手下上年，即係佢有個 A1 嘅下屬咧，即係去選 New South Wales 個州選舉嘅時候咧，嗰啲選舉支出咧，佢話A1 應承咗幫佢出，但最後都要揾第二個人幫佢頂。咁即係十足劉世良嗰啲手法啦，又係嗰啲或者香港好多政黨嗰啲激進派政黨乜都好啦，嗰啲手法啦。咁而家就俾第5段片你睇啦。
Do something?
No.
So this speaks volumes by itself. Now, people are asking about the damn holes. The holes that were mentioned on Rick's show. Now, without mentioning the little ones, let's just go into the fact that there were some holes, how you found them to happen, and what happened with that when it was confronted, and what room they were in, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, look, there was a few things that broke, and there's no question about it. We understand that, Rhiannon does have that disability, right? And look, it's only a fragile thing. It's not about the fact that whether somebody breaks something. There was no effort made to actually have it fixed, right? They like a hook broke, but no one, I work 3 days a week, so there was no effort in actually having those things repaired. Now the 2 holes, I'll tell you now. Michelle said to me, "Oh look, there's 2 holes, Frank, in the bathroom," and I went, "Oh shit, there is 2." So I patched them. I went and bought some, plaster or whatever to patch it up and sand it back. And then, I happened to ask, one of the little ones if they knew anything about it.
Yep.
And she actually dropped her head, right? And she was, I said, "Look, don't worry." I said, "But you're going to have to take ownership of it. You're going to just have to let mum and dad know what you've done." You know what I mean? And so she did that. She let her mum and dad know. They came and looked and assessed the situation. And I said, and actually Rick said, "That's okay. Rhiannon's really good at plastering. She'll do it." But it didn't matter. He was going to do it. And then, and yes, I was offered coinage. You know what I mean? But that wasn't part of it.
Yeah.
The fact is, you look, these things happen. There's no question about it. But you know what? You also teach your kids, hey guys, you know what? You just don't do that to other people's homes. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
You don't
besides that, the house was absolutely trashed. We have got photos of that. I mean, look, I feel it might be a little bit distasteful to show them, but people in the comments saying if you've got something to say, then just say it. So, I mean, just to kind of show, this is where they're saying it wasn't exactly a respected area.
Yeah.
Just to kind of paint a picture. Now, remember, at the time that they were there, nice little Coles bags of Ricardo's. At the time that they were there, they were friends with Franco. They were not enemies. Franco had taken them in, given them time to stay in his house, and it's I mean, you treat it with respect if you were staying there. Sorry, I'm paying too much attention to the comments. Look, guys, I can't win. Yeah, you want more information? I give you more information. You crack the shits that I'm showing. More information. What the fuck do you want? Do you know what? Okay, I've had enough now. Yeah. So the point of this show is not to bring down Bossi. Yeah. It is to freaking show you guys how disrespectful, how fucking deceitful, how much of a lying fucking cheat that man is. So guess what? Now I have to take down Bossi. I'm sorry for losing my shit, and maybe I'm out of line now. But this is ridiculous. Like, you guys think that we're going, I didn't fucking start shit. People started calling and had freaking issues that they needed to talk about. Because, mate, if you only knew the phone calls that people have been having to deal with this week, then you would understand why we're doing this show. People are crying. People feel like they've been betrayed. People don't know who the fuck they can trust. Okay? This is why we are doing this. Not to fucking shit on Bossi. And if you want to talk about shitting on people, let's go through, okay. So, Darren's a Freemason apparently. Carl Leibold is a Freemason apparently. Who else is a Freemason? Anybody that freaking speaks up and says what they've got to say. Okay? Well, this is absolutely ridiculous. If you guys can't see this, then that's fine. You wanted the drama, now I didn't want the drama. I just want people to stop putting so much trust and be their own leader. Be your own leader. Save yourself. Don't expect somebody else to save you.
嗱，你睇完第5段片咧，就又係睇到另一個 Ricardo Bossi 嘅為人，就係佢當然啦，佢頭先所講嘅意外，即係例如整爛個細路整爛咗佢個仔整爛啲嘢啦。咁當然啦，嗱，我唔係話攻擊佢仔女啊，你細路仔細路女唔小心整爛嘢 ，OK， 好小事嚟嘅啫 ，OK， 係絕對好小事，絕對係好小事。我亦都唔係想你呢個機會嚟攻擊 Ricardo Bossi 嘅仔女，唔好誤會我 ，OK。絕對唔好誤會我啊！嗱，你嘅細路整有啲嘢 ，OK， 好小事，可以即係做父母嘅就應該即係話下次唔好啦咁樣嗰隻，明唔明啊？阿仔阿女下次唔好啊咁嗰隻。但係佢哋話咧，佢 Ricardo Bossi 冇俾心機去整翻好佢哋仔女所整爛嘅嘢喺人哋屋企嗰度。咁呢樣嘢咧就真係好難令到人即係覺得你係值得尊重嘅，明唔明啊？而佢講啲咩邪咩用咩嗰啲咁嘅幻想術定咩嘢咧，就得佢哋自己知係真定假啦。佢哋咁樣講啦，都係佢親手見啦個 Franco。咁 OK， 你要信呢啲嘢㗎，就冇辦法啦嚇。咁正如頭先 Beth 後尾所講，而家澳洲人同香港人一樣，好多澳洲人同香港人一樣，都唔知邊個信得過嘅，尤其是國星嗰班人。好一定冇人已經係覺得即係呢啲咁嘅 grifters 呢啲咁嘅人啊，即係香港都係啦嚇。近呢5、6年嚟睇到啦嚇，呢班泛民激進派嗰啲一現形之後咧，都已經唔知邊個信得過啦。而澳洲你都因為咧就係好多澳洲人同香港人一樣 feel 到呢個 feel 嘅 ，OK， 所以香港人唔使講難窿嘅喺呢方面 ，OK， 即係睇到呢啲咁嘅新冒起嘅政黨激進派呢啲。其實表面上佢哋即係好即係好似激啊，有咩又成啊，又好為民請命啊，嗰啲又要暴露啲戀童話嗰啲，但係佢哋實際上係咪講一套做一套咧？大家心知啦嚇。咁而家播埋第6同第7段 ，OK。
You know, like we can put all the warts out there, but it's not going to make any difference. People need to make a decision. You know,
yeah.
I can just tell you now, you've been deceived. That's simple as that. If you want to follow the other side, then follow the other side. If you want to follow this plan, then you follow this plan. It doesn't really matter, right? But I can tell you now, the other side ain't going to get you where you need to be. No white hat, black hat. Come on, let's go and have a bit of a history lesson, right? Let's look at the chemtrails. Oh, it's the white hats pumping the good stuff. It's the black hats doing this. You saw, it's never backed up by proper facts. I told you, I took the council. How many people have been fighting in their council? I'll tell you what the problem is, and probably why people might be pissed off, because they don't get off their asses and go to the council. It's not going to happen on its own. None of this is going to happen on its own. And we can point fingers as much as we like. But I'm just letting you know that there's always two sides to the coin. And Ricardo in his own words says, don't trust me, do your own research. Well, like I've gone beyond doing my own research. I've lived with the guy for 5 weeks, and I can tell you now, it ain't what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It ain't what it is.
Yeah. Look, if there's any genuine questions, put them in the comments, please. Look, I don't know what else to do. I thought this, going by the comments on my post today, I thought this would go better than what it has. Nobody started this except Bossi. He's the one that started this by calling out multiple different people for bullshit reasons. Think back to when you were all sending me the video of him saying anyone that's calling for unity in the movement is a dickhead. That was after I released my unity video. Just, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I thought that this would bring unity, if anything. I thought that this would bring people together, and because so many people have been sitting on the fence and so undecided about the Bossis, that I honestly felt like this would bring people together, and they would feel better about things, knowing that maybe they weren't being paranoid. Maybe the things that they were seeing was real. I mean, which it has been as far as I'm concerned, because too many people now are coming forward and bringing things up. I thought this would, be a shock for everyone, and then at the end of it, we'd all come together and we'd make it work and heal from this.
Yeah, but there's a big problem here, right? Because, you know, it's this thing that we're waiting for somebody else, and we're leaning on something else instead of, when this is all said and done, if everyone right now this evening believes that this is a spiritual war that we're in, well, at the end of the day, you've got to draw a line in the sand to decide which side you actually stand on. Now, if you want, you know, the Holy Spirit and the good Lord upstairs to bring us proper deliverance, then you've got to actually stand with it. On the other side of the fence, if you're quite happy to get your intel from the other side, right? Then, you know, that's up to you as well. We've got free choice in this in at the moment, right? But it's look, like I said, it's I mean, I just told you about Don and his finances. I told you about Jackie and her finances. There's Jake and his finances. Great people have landed on their footstep, and where are they now? Where are the Bossis now? In the last 12 months, they've moved on 4 occasions. Now, if he can't get his own house in order, how do you expect him to run a country?
Yeah. So this question, he was doing this for a long time. Why is he suddenly getting exposed? From my understanding, it was just speculation. At first, it was speculation for a very long time. Eventually, you start to be like, well, enough's enough. And that's why slowly so many people have been coming out. It's been a chain reaction, a domino effect almost, of people leaving A1, especially coordinators. If we just look at the simple fact, there's been coordinator after coordinator after coordinator that have left. I think from memory, the rumour, or well, not the rumour, what was said about Darren leaving was that he was, Craig Cole, was that he was siphoning data to Freemasons, meaning Darren Bergworth. That was the thing that was going around about that. As soon as somebody doesn't bend down and comply with what Bossi wants, he turns on them, and all of a sudden they're a Freemason or they're affiliated with Freemasons. People are scared. We could have got a whole panel on tonight if they hadn't have had fear instilled into them. But the fact of the matter is, people are scared. People are hurt. People are crying. Like, believe what you want to believe. I'm not telling you that you have to believe me. I'm saying that whether you believe it or not, my intentions with doing this were pure. Like I said at the start of the show, for anyone that missed it, will I give Bossi a right of reply? Bossi won't even freaking call me. Bossi will not even call me. I've had enough of his time. She gets more than most. Nah, not interested. So, I mean, look, it is what it is. If Bossi wants to give me a call, he's got my number. He was given it. Give me a call, Bossi. Let's have a chat. I'll hear what you've got to say. I'm not going to... There is always 3 sides to every story.
better still,
coordinators, peers, and the truth.
and that's the thing, every time, someone comes forward, right, he never accepts the offer.
Yeah.
And I know from complete confidence that there was going to be an arrangement with John Wilson. John Wilson was trying to get Rick to actually do have a discussion with Bergworth and Ron Carlton from GAT, and sort of see if we can sort of come to a collective, and he wasn't interested.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are quite happy to have tried to have come forward, and do something. And then it's funny with with the My Place movement, there was very strong intentions to actually incorporate Rick and all that.
Yep.
But he never took the offer on.
Yeah.
It's like there's been numerous of opportunities. But people say, oh well, we're A1. But the more we continue to be A1, all you're doing is disassociating yourself with the entire nation.
嗱，頭先聽到啦嚇，即係當然即係 Ricardo 嗱，佢 Ricardo Bossi 頭先咁講話，即係個俾佢踢走嘅 A1 嗰啲成員咧，就 Freemason 啦嚇。咁呢個係即係點講咧？係好無理嘅，即係點講無理去扣人咯。嗱，平時咧即係佢扣話人哋啲高級政府官，即係啲澳洲政府啲高官啊，好多警隊高官高層啊。啲學界啊，好多啲俾啲 Freemason 滲透晒，或者揾條 Freemason 關係 ，OK fine 冇所謂，因為好多呢啲人不嬲都有問題啦嚇。但係俾你即係你覺得唔妥，喺你個組織覺得唔妥，或者指出組織問題乜都好嘅人咧，你又話你 Freemason， 你 Freemason 收買乜都好，你仲有一樣頭先要講嘅就係 data breach， 即係嗰啲資料被外泄啦嚇。咁你又賴晒啲 Freemason。咁即係千錯萬錯都係 Freemason 嘅錯啦，咪即係十足劉世良咁咯，即係出面千錯萬錯都係出面啲人錯咯，話共產黨喺度搞你嗰隻咯，明唔明啊？即係一樣嘅 pattern 嚟嘅啫嘛。咁我俾你最後一段俾佢睇，呢個係第7段片，即係我錄低嚟嘅幾個段，嗰最後一段嘅 ，OK。
Really at all. But yeah, personally, for me, I wouldn't be supporting the motion simply because Ricardo's name is on it, and that is the only reason. Just wanted to cover that question because a few people had asked that one.
Yeah, and I think that's right because, again, I think it's important that we don't make it speculation. I think people are sick and tired of speculation. They just want the truth. If we don't have the answers, we don't give you the answers because we don't have them ourselves. But if I've got an answer to give you, I'll tell you exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
But right now, like I said, I'd have reservations myself personally, about it. And like Beck, I've actually signed it as well. So, can it work? Who knows?
Yeah. Alright, so another question. How many A1 members now compared to years ago? Do you know of the figures at least for your area?
Yeah. Look, it's dropped significantly. And the reason being is they're trying to micromanage the groups into smaller groups, and it's not working because not everyone has the capability of growing even 5 to 10 people. And again, that doesn't make sense. When I first started, we had big numbers rock up to our group, to our meetings, and it wasn't. And these meetings weren't having Ricardo Bossi. This is just us explaining to to the general public what's going on and who we really are. And I remember when we were in the original warehouse that we were using, it wasn't difficult to get 40 toss. But like now, we've got a core group of about 35. That's it.
Yeah.
35 now, and right across the state. Look, I can tell you now, the numbers aren't growing. I mean, I'm sure there probably would have been big numbers tonight on the green room for obvious reasons, because everyone's waiting for the conspiracy. But look at the green rooms in past, in say months gone by. The numbers aren't there.
Yeah.
The people have tuned out. Now you got to ask yourself why. I just don't think the information that's coming out is up to scratch. It's just not up to. It's not running on time. It's actually running behind.
Yeah.
A lot of it is regurgitated. It's not, it's stuff that we've already know, or we've already, we've been there, done that.
Yeah. So there's another comment here stating that the Bossis have absolutely worked their asses off for this movement. So they were at your house for 5 weeks. What did you see them doing that was saving Australia while they were at your property?
Very little.
Yeah.
Very
So
little.
how do they spend their days?
Well, I honestly thought that, that he'd be typing away like a madman trying to get the Constitutional Convention put together. And, there was nothing. It was a lot of telegramming, a lot of YouTubes, a lot of, sort of visual type stuff. But there wasn't a lot of action going on. There wasn't a lot of, we've been talking a big talk about this Constitutional Convention. I guarantee you it's not going to happen. It's certainly not when, the predicted date was in June. Right? First it was April, then it was June. I'd be surprised if it, I'll be surprised if it happens at all.
Yeah.
Right? So, but like I said, I thought that, we're powering away to get this thing up and running, but I just can't see it happening at all.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, yeah.
And like I said, we had opportunity because I had a marquee in my garage. I had a lot of A1 paraphernalia. We could have went and set a tent up at the beach and probably, started talking to people, introducing ourselves, introducing A1, getting to know the community, engaging in the community. Here's a question for most people. How many people outside the movement have heard of Ricardo Bossi?
Yeah.
It's okay to say, we're a recognition for international. But hang on a minute. I thought our mantra is to save Australia. Right? That's the first thing that our mission statement says, is to save Australia. But all of a sudden, we've got international recognition. Well, I'm not interested in international recognition. I'm a homegrown Aussie who I want Australian recognition. I want someone who's actually, in bat for my country here, right now in Oz. But like I said, you go down the street, ask a dozen people off the cuff, have they heard of a gentleman by the name of Ricardo Bossi? That's outside the movement, just normies as we might call them. Go and see how many people know Rick. And the reason being is the groundwork's not being done.
Yeah.
You can use all the excuses under the sun, but the groundwork is definitely not being done.
Yeah. All right, so I've got another question, which I think is a good one. So who has the answer for what comes next if it isn't Bossi? I don't. But you know what? Bossi doesn't either, because he's been repeating the same damn shit for the last 4 years and nothing has changed. The biggest thing, of my opinion, on how we can change this is we can fuck off all the grifters, all the bullshitters, all the egos, and come together and work out a plan. So in November last year, I put out a video saying, let's have a organisers meeting and get on a Zoom all together and discuss what we can do. I'm going to put that call out again. Last time I did that, Bossi told me I was a dickhead. Well, didn't tell me. Made a video not directing me directly, stating that anyone calling for unity in the freedom movement is a dickhead. So that's the only solution I've got is to all come together, have a discussion, and try and work out where we can go. But we can't compare what this meeting is doing with what Bossi is doing, because Bossi's not doing nothing. He's not. And no, not to include politicians. I don't trust no politician. I do not trust, and I need to be clear on that, because there's a lot of whispers going around that I'm bought and paid by one nation. Because I spoke at a damn rally. I spoke at the rally because I'm fighting and trying to work this out and figure out where to go to from here.
You know, no, you're absolutely right, Beck. The thing is, like I said, I took Rick to the council meeting.
Yep.
Now, if everybody knew who Ricardo Bossi is, I would have thought that the people in the council building were shitting themselves. Because, you know, he's a mountain of a man. They didn't even know who he was. You know, so that's significant in itself. So if we because we're looking for this figure, it has the capability of having that presence, right? So you know, again, we're trying to create an envisaged figure who's going.
嗱，頭先聽到啦，嗱，阿 Beth 雖然我係唔太認同嘅，因為你團結咧，你要團結同一類信念嘅人，而唔係要同即係每一個即係嗰啲即係你提倡泛民大團結一樣嘅。其實你而家叫澳洲所有反逼針啊、反 Smart Cities 啊，即係嗰啲即係叫 Freedom Movement 一齊團結咧，係難啲嘅，同即係叫泛民一樣，全體泛民政黨一樣團結一樣咁難啲，係難啲嘅。但係佢話過咧，就你要呢日所有嘅清醒嘅人係要靠自己，明唔明啊？即係而家 Ricardo Bossi 露出咗，即係睇咗個真面目之後咧，即係我哋唔可以靠冇人。劉世良都係嘅，香港所有嘅政黨都露晒真面目出嚟啦。呢10年嚟都咁為咗話咧，我哋就唔可以盲跟呢啲咁嘅 KOL 啊、政黨啊嗰啲咁嘅。咁頭先正如話齋啦，個 Franco 話齋啦，你出到出面有幾多人識得 Ricardo Bossi 啊？呢樣嘢，咁頭先佢話佢帶個 council meeting， 希望可以即係話晒，即係睇真佢係 leader 嚟噶嘛，咁希望佢都有料到，但係其實嗰日佢根本係冇出個聲嘅，即係好似即係帶個啞巴去嘅，咁咧就真係好真係好咩咯，好即係假老虎咯，變咗就一隻，明唔明啊？咁。但係你亦都 instill 唔到，即係你啲咁嘅反對派，即係呢啲咁嘅澳洲啲咁嘅反逼針政黨咁樣，即係 instill 唔到，即係嗰啲對嗰啲澳洲政府高官或者呢啲咁嘅官僚係可以落到阻嚇作用咯，明唔明啊？嗱，而家就最後就播俾你睇 Ricardo Bossi 嘅扣人手法，就係佢講即係嗰啲人係 Freemason 啊、又成啊嗰啲。
Now, Len, I'll edit that and bring that to you along with Craig, hopefully next week.
Now, the Masons out there, they're fighting hard against us because they know that we're coming for them. And I mention names because I get sick of watching these people deceive the good people. I want to see you dead. Darren Bergworth, for one, wants to see you dead. He is working so hard against us. A little insight, folks. We had a meeting last night with my supporter group leaders from Victoria. We had to clean up a bit of a mess. And one of them is a Masonic spy. And one of them was briefing Darren Bergworth. We know, Darren, you're a Masonic pig like Craig Kelly. Your whole organisation, the leadership is corrupted because it's taken over by the Masons. And the good people in my place are suffering because you want them dead. Because you're a gutless coward like the rest of the Masons in this country. So we push hard, folks, and the rest of them, all of them. Here's another little insight for you. Craig Kelly, epic. Let's go back a couple of years. Let's make him famous.
I don't think it's growing.
嗱，頭先睇到啦，阿 Ricardo Bossi 嘅呢啲手法咧，同劉世良呢啲手法係差唔多嘅啫。所以咧，我今日咧就 conclude 一句啦嚇，而家講咗1個鐘頭啦，即係所有香港人同埋所有嘅香港人都移民都要知道，你無論你跟邊個立場政黨都係咧。無論你反逼針啊都好啊，或者撐即係乜鳩立場都好咧，尤其是呢啲社運呢啲咧，如果你發覺咗呢個政黨唔係相信當初嘅理念咧， 或者佢哋好唔妥，例如即係好似劉世良咁樣私吞嗰啲錢，嗰啲做嗰啲，即係近有個 whistleblower 出咗嚟啦，話佢私吞嗰啲口罩嗰啲咩啊，嗰啲口罩嗰啲錢啦嚇，即係人哋出晒 idea， 但係佢就將呢啲賺翻嚟錢自己獨有晒，完全唔分俾，完全冇俾到人哋，仲覺得你捐10蚊係侮辱嘅。我聽到嘅傳言啦，你捐10蚊20蚊，好似覺得好侮辱咁樣。即係啲例子啦，或者好似 Ricardo Bossi 啲例子，你俾 idea 去改善佢個政黨或者改善佢嘅理念，佢就唔 reject 你。咁咧，咁呢啲真係正如我上一個 video 話齋 ，not so obvious exception 不顯然嘅建制嚟嘅。佢係喺個議題上面表面上係撐你，但係好似劉世良同埋 Ricardo Bossi 呢啲咧，或者好多呢啲咁嘅社民連啊嗰啲人咧，黃毓民啊、陳雲嗰啲、黃仁達啲，喺關鍵時候就捅你一刀。所以咧，大家所有香港人一定要認清呢啲不顯然建制，即係好多社運上面或者啲政黨、社運啊、工運啊、政黨上面嘅真面目。咁今日嘅直播就差唔多，咁希望你請你 subscribe 我呢個 channel， 多謝。